comes with it and the joy that she brings to the court. Like she brought in these millions of fans. She brought in so many millions of fans, and you could see from clips of 2024, like the way that arena would erupt. In the second quarter, like not even towards the end of the game, the arena would erupt and be so excited, and she would be running laps around the gym, like getting the fans involved. And I just want to see a little bit more.
That phrase right there, I just want to see a little bit more of that, might sound like a simple wish from a fan. But what we're actually witnessing is someone trying to diplomatically describe a fundamental shift in one of the league's biggest stars. Because when you have to say you want to see more joy from Caitlin Clark, something has fundamentally changed. And the question everyone's dancing around is, what happened between April 2024 and now?
When it comes to Caitlin Clark, I would love to see her playing with more joy, the kind of joy that we saw her play with in her rookie season. It's less about like, she had a fine game. She had 27 and 5. Like she had a fine game, and it's crazy to even say she had a fine game because we know Caitlin Clark's potential. We know that there's more in that tank.
Let's establish what we're actually talking about here, because this isn't about one bad game or a rough shooting night. 27 points and 5 assists is objectively a good performance by any measure. For most players in the league, that's a career night. But here's what makes this conversation so telling. We've reached a point where 27 and 5 from Caitlin Clark gets described as fine. Not great. Not impressive. Fine. That word choice matters because it reveals the gap between what she's capable of and what she's currently delivering. And more importantly, it's not about the numbers at all. You can put up stats and still look like you'd rather be anywhere else. You can hit your averages while the fire that made you special slowly dims. The stats don't capture what's missing. And what's missing is the thing that brought millions of fans to the WNBA in the first place.
And it's even less about the numbers that show up on the stat sheet and more about just the energy and the passion and the killer instinct and the will to win and the clutch gene and just everything that comes with it and the joy that she brings to the court. Like she brought in these.
Now we're getting to the heart of it. Energy, passion, killer instinct, will to win, clutch gene. These aren't just motivational poster buzzwords. They're the intangibles that separate good players from transformative ones. And joy. That word keeps coming up. Joy. Think about what that means in the context of professional sports. We're not talking about happiness or contentment or satisfaction with a performance. We're talking about that visible, infectious enthusiasm that makes people jump out of their seats. The kind of energy that translates through a television screen and makes casual viewers suddenly care about a regular season game in June.
These millions of fans. She brought in so many millions of fans, and you could see from clips of 2024, like the way that arena would erupt. In the second quarter, like not even towards the end of the game, the arena would erupt and be so excited, and she would be running laps around the gym, like getting the fans involved. And I just want to see a little bit more.
This is the evidence. Not speculation, not subjective opinion, actual documented behavior that anyone can verify by pulling up footage from her rookie season. Second quarter eruptions. The arena going absolutely wild. Not in crunch time, not in a playoff atmosphere, but in the middle of a random Tuesday night game. And her response wasn't to stay cool and composed. It was to run laps around the gym, feeding off that energy, amplifying it, turning it into momentum. That's what made her special. That's what separated her from every other talented scorer in the league. She didn't just accept the attention, she weaponized it. She turned crowd energy into a competitive advantage. And somewhere between then and now, that connection got severed.
More of that. There was a mentality that she had, I felt like at Iowa or even in her rookie season, like she could miss 23s in a row, but she was still going to shoot the next one like she was going.
Here's where it gets interesting from a psychological standpoint. That mentality, missing 23 threes in a row, but shooting the 24th like it's guaranteed to go in. That's not just confidence. That's selective amnesia, combined with unshakable self-belief. It's arguably irrational, and it's absolutely essential for elite performance. Sports psychologists have studied this phenomenon for decades. The best shooters, the true elite performers, have this ability to completely forget their misses. Each shot exists in isolation. The previous 23 failures literally don't factor into the equation when they're rising up for number 24. That's not stubbornness. That's the mental makeup of a killer.
The kind of joy that we saw her play with in her rookie season. It's less about like, she had a fine game. She had 27 and 5. Like she had a fine game, and it's crazy to even say she had a fine game because we know.
So what changed? That's the question that needs answering. And it's more complicated than pointing to any single factor. But let's work through the possibilities systematically, because this shift didn't happen in a vacuum. First, consider the pressure escalation. Rookie year, she was a phenomenon. Exciting, fresh, breaking records. But she was still a rookie. The expectations were high, but they came with built-in excuses. Rookie mistakes are expected. Rookie inconsistency is normal. There's a learning curve everyone accepts. Year 2 is different. Year 2, you're supposed to take the leap. The league has adjusted to you. Defenses have a full season of film, and the she's just a rookie grace period is over. Every performance gets measured against not just her rookie numbers, but against the hype, against the investment the league made in promoting her, against the expectations of millions of new fans who showed up specifically to watch her. That's a different kind of pressure. It's not the excitement of proving yourself, it's the grind of maintaining a standard you set when everything was new and fun. Second, think about the physical toll. Her rookie season, she played more minutes than almost anyone in the league. The WNBA season is compact, 40 games in roughly 4 months, plus playoffs, plus Olympics for the elite players. There's no real off-season for someone at her level. You finish the WNBA season, maybe get a few weeks off, then it's overseas, or training, or promotional obligations. The human body isn't designed for year-round elite athletic performance without proper recovery, and the mental fatigue compounds the physical. When you're tired, genuinely exhausted in a way that sleep doesn't fix, that joy becomes harder to access. The enthusiasm that came naturally when you were fresh starts requiring effort to manufacture. Third, consider the relationship dynamics. Rookie year, you're fitting into an established team structure. You're the new person, which comes with its own challenges, but also with a certain freedom. You're not expected to fix everything. You're not carrying the weight of franchise expectations alone. But as you become the face of the franchise, as the marketing machine builds around you, as your name becomes synonymous with the team's success or failure, that changes the internal dynamics. Teammates who were supportive veterans become peers you're competing with for touches and recognition. Coaches who were nurturing become demanding. The organization's patience for anything less than excellence shrinks. Fourth, think about the media environment. The attention that seemed exciting and energizing in year 1 can become suffocating in year 2. Every comment gets analyzed. Every facial expression becomes a story. Every interaction gets recorded and dissected on social media. The fun of being famous gives way to the exhaustion of being constantly watched. And here's what makes Caitlyn's situation unique. She didn't just bring normal WNBA media attention. She brought an entirely new level of scrutiny to the league. Mainstream sports media that never covered women's basketball suddenly had opinions about her game, her attitude, her body language, her relationships with teammates. That's not normal rookie to sophomore pressure. That's unprecedented. Fifth, consider the tactical adjustments. Defenses in year 2 aren't just aware of her. They're game planning specifically to neutralize her. Every team in the league has spent the offseason studying her tendencies, her favorite moves, her shooting patterns. The shots that came easy in year 1 require twice the effort in year 2. When you have to work significantly harder to get the same results, when the game that felt like flow state starts feeling like a grind, that affects your joy. It's hard to play with infectious enthusiasm when you're constantly fighting through double teams and physical defense designed specifically to frustrate you. Sixth, think about the expectations she set for herself. When you have a rookie season like hers, historic numbers, record-breaking performances, cultural impact, you create your own prison. Every subsequent performance gets measured against those peaks. A 27-point game that would thrill most players becomes disappointing because she's had 35-point games that felt effortless. That's the curse of early excellence. You establish a standard that becomes exhausting to maintain. And when you're constantly falling short of your own best performances, even while objectively playing well, that erodes the joy. You stop celebrating the good, because you're fixating on the gap between good and great. But here's what makes this situation both concerning and potentially correctable. This isn't about talent degradation. The ability hasn't disappeared. The skills are still there. What we're seeing is a psychological and emotional shift, and those can be reversed in ways that physical decline cannot. The phrase, "we know Caitlin Clark's potential," is crucial because it acknowledges that this isn't about lowering expectations or accepting a new normal. The ceiling hasn't changed. The current performance is just well below that ceiling, and the gap between current output and potential isn't about ability, it's about access to that ability. When you're playing with joy, when you're in flow state, when you're connected to that killer instinct, you access your full capability naturally. The game slows down, the shots feel automatic, the pressure becomes fuel instead of burden. But when that joy is missing, when you're grinding instead of flowing, you're essentially playing with a handicap, not because you've gotten worse, but because you can't access your best self. This is actually encouraging from a long-term perspective. If she'd lost a step athletically, if her shot mechanics had broken down, if her basketball IQ had somehow regressed, Those would be serious concerns requiring major overhauls. But a loss of joy? That's addressable. That's about rediscovering what made the game fun in the first place. That's about mental reset, not physical rebuilding. The question is, how does she get it back? And that's where it gets complicated, because the factors that drain the joy aren't simple to reverse. You can't unring the bell of fame. You can't make defenses forget how to guard you. You can't eliminate the pressure of expectations. You can't get back the novelty of your rookie season. What you can do is reframe. You can find new sources of motivation. You can remember that the pressure is a privilege. Millions of athletes would trade places with her in a heartbeat. You can focus on the process instead of the results. You can reconnect with the pure love of competition that existed before the stakes got so high. You can also look at how other elite athletes have navigated this exact transition. LeBron James went through it between his first and second Cleveland stints. Steph Curry went through it during the Warriors' post-championship adjustment. Diana Taurasi went through it multiple times across her WNBA career. The common thread in successful navigation of this challenge is finding new ways to challenge yourself, new goals beyond just winning, new aspects of your game to fall in love with. For Caitlin, maybe that's becoming a more complete defender. Maybe it's developing as a leader in ways that go beyond scoring. Maybe it's embracing the villain role instead of trying to please everyone. Maybe it's giving herself permission to not care about the noise and just hoop. But here's the reality that nobody wants to say out loud. Maybe the joy doesn't come back. Maybe this is who she is now, a very good player, putting up solid numbers without the spark that made her transcendent. Maybe the price of fame and pressure and constant scrutiny is that the game becomes work instead of play. And maybe that's okay, because even without the joy, she's still one of the best players in the league. That's the uncomfortable truth about professional sports at the highest level. Not everyone gets to keep the joy. Some players lose it and never find it again. They have long, successful careers, putting up great numbers while looking like they're fulfilling an obligation rather than living a dream. It's not tragic, it's just the reality of turning your passion into your profession. But I don't think that's where this story ends for Caitlin Clark. Because here's what we know about her. She's competitive to a fault. She's self-aware enough to recognize when something's off. And she's proven she can adjust and adapt when challenged. The mentality that allowed her to shoot 24 threes after missing 23, that doesn't just disappear. It goes dormant sometimes, but it doesn't die. So the real question isn't whether she can get the joy back. It's whether she wants to do the work required to find it again. Because it won't just show up on its own. It'll require honest self-assessment. It'll require vulnerability in admitting that the pressure got to her. It'll require changes, maybe to her routine, maybe to her mindset, maybe to how she interacts with the media and fans, maybe to how she defines success. And here's what makes this such a compelling storyline for the league. We're all watching it play out in real time. There's no hiding a loss of joy when you're the most watched player in the WNBA. Every game, every press conference, every interaction becomes evidence in the ongoing case of what happened to Caitlin Clark's spark. The answer matters not just for her career, but for the league's trajectory. Because whether we like it or not, she's become the face of the WNBA's mainstream breakthrough. If she rediscovers that joy, if she comes back with that infectious energy that made casual fans into diehards, the league's growth continues. If she settles into being just a good player without the spark, some of those millions of new fans drift away. That's not fair to put on one person's shoulders, but it's the reality of being transformational. You don't get to choose when your individual performance becomes about something bigger than basketball, and you don't get to opt out of the responsibility that comes with being the reason millions of people started paying attention. So watch what happens next. Watch whether the joy comes back. Watch whether she finds new ways to connect with that killer instinct. Watch whether the arena starts erupting in the second quarter again. Because that'll tell us not just about Caitlin Clark's career trajectory, but about whether this moment in WNBA history was a genuine breakthrough or just a temporary spike in attention. I'm betting on the breakthrough. I'm betting she finds it again. Because players with that mentality, the ones who shoot 24 after missing 23, they don't stay down. They figure it out. The question is just how long it takes and what it costs along the way. What do you think? Have you noticed the same shift in her energy? And more importantly, what do you think it would take for her to get that joy back? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this is a conversation worth having. And if you want more deep dives into what's really happening in the WNBA beyond the surface level takes, hit that subscribe button. This is just getting started.